We're here. It's the home stretch. We've done it. We've got the majority of the army done. It's even playable now, right? But there's two things that I definitely 100% have to add to this army. Let's have a chat after this. Hi guys. If you're new here, I'm Wayne. Thanks for stopping by. Everybody else, welcome back. I hope you've enjoyed this series. This is going to be the last episode where we're working on it, and in this one we're going to look at Big Daddy himself, the Supreme Lord of the Undead, Nagash. Now, I picked this guy up a while back. It's a rescue miniature, so we've got a little bit of prep work to do on it, just to make sure it's in the state that we want for our model. We're going to add a decent scenic base to it, hopefully, and we're also going to add in another big bad. That's right, the big bald guy himself, me. Oh, no, sorry. I mean, the other big bald guy. No, wait, not Abaddon either. The other big bald guy. No. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's Mannfred VonCarstien. The other bald guy that's evil. I don't know what it is. Why do they think that everybody with a bald head is super evil or like a monster? It's not the case. We're people too, you know. Joking aside. No, we are. Joking aside, we're going to do Mannfred, but not just Mannfred. Oh, no. Why stop at one model when we could have two models? Neferata as well. And whoa. Does that mean we're going to do Nagash, Mannfred, and Neferata all at the same time? No, it doesn't. It means we're going to do Nagash, Mannfred, Neferata, and Arkan the Black all at the same time. We're going to magnetize that bad boy. We're going to do all three of the variants. Why wouldn't you do it? It's one kit and it's dead straightforward to do. Right, I'm excited to get this done. If you've not already, check out the playlist. Videos showing all of the previous things we've built up to now. In video 1, we talked about the color scheme and the basing. We've got that sorted out. Make sure you check that out before you check this out. But as you can see, I'm excited. We've got a lot to get on with, guys. Let's try and get it done. Let's see what we can do, and let's make these look hella cool. All right, let's do it. First up then, Nagash, Supreme Lord of the Undead, and I think this was Games Workshop's first large centerpiece miniature. Now, I picked this up second-hand, a bit of a rescue miniature. I think I paid £35 for it from my friend at local game store, Murfield Miniatures, just because it was a rescue miniature. It had already been built, and it hadn't been built particularly well. It did have some paint on there. It hadn't been cleaned, so there was a lot of sprue marks as well on there. It was just not perfect, but it was £35. So with a little bit of effort, I managed to get the paint off, managed to disassemble it for the most part, and get into the sub-assemblies I would have wanted. Now, it's not perfect by any means, but for £35 and for an actual gaming piece, I think we can make it work. Certainly with the paint scheme that I'm going for, and a scenic base to hide some of the issues and just stabilize it a little bit, I think we're going to have a really good miniature on his hands here. Mannfred VonCarstien then. This kit is really good value for money. You get all three variants of the Mortax in here. So you get Mannfred, you get Neferata, and you get Arkan the Black. Now, unless you're going to use all three of these in the same list for whatever reason, then you can quite easily magnetize this kit to be any one of those three characters. I genuinely do like how this kit looks. Even though it's a little bit older, it's still really great looking. My only issue with it is the stability. It's not the most stable of kits, and it does feel somewhat fragile. Now, I want to keep the dynamic pose, so I'm not going to change anything about it. I'm just going to have to be careful. I am going to put on a little bit of a scenic base. I am going to try and add some more stability with that, but I don't want to take away from the overall look of this guy kind of flying on this abyssal steed. Okay, let's have a look at each of the individual things and talk about what we're going to do with them. You know, I wasn't overly enamored with this model when I first saw it. This is one of Games Workshop's first large centerpiece models, and there was just something about it. It looked a little bit forced, a little bit derpy compared to the newer models. However, it has grown on me. One of the things that bothered me a little bit was the base. I've never seen any bases that really worked for it, and I understand why. It's a very busy model. There is a lot going on here. It's like, where are you supposed to be looking? And the answer to it, I think, is all over, because it's a cool looking model. And when you know the lore of Nagash, it has to kind of be there. He has to have the swirling spell books around him. He has to have his sword and his staff. What I wanted to do was have him bursting forth from a grave or a tomb in this necromantic typhoon of hate and decay, and I had all these grandiose ideas of what I wanted to do, but when I started to think about it and I drew a couple of sketches out, I thought, well, it's actually going to detract from what I want and perhaps make it too big and too clumsy to be a gaming piece, and that's what this ultimately is going to be. It is going to be a gaming piece. How I wanted to do it then, I was planning on using the base to add some extra stability to the model from how we had to disassemble it to paint it. What I need to do with the base as well is to bring in elements that we see in the rest of the army to tie it all together, because Nagash does have something of a different look, a different aesthetic to the rest of the vampiric elements of the army, which is what we've heavily leaned into. Even though we can have a list that is skeletal based, we want to be able to have those two things. With that in mind then, how we were going to paint him. I wanted to keep the purple armor, but I wanted to really bring it back a little bit. I didn't want it to be a standout point. I wanted to make his face and the books and framed his face a little bit more, so there was a specific central focal point, a little bit counter to how Games Workshop have done it. With that in mind, I wanted to bring in the reds that we've already seen throughout the vampiric element. We're going to have a fade from red to blue in the cloak. We're going to have that really nice blue necromantic glow on the head. We're going to have the books glowing a little bit more, and we're going to have the banshees and the ghosts kind of drawing us around the model back up to the face. I'm not going to be using any new techniques that we've not already covered, so we won't go into it in too much depth. I love this model. It looked like it was going to be not fun to paint, and it was actually much easier than I thought it was going to be, mostly due to the style in which I painted it. You could go OTT with this, painting every little detail and element, but what I wanted to do was really bring emphasis to the glowing skulls on the inside of the Abyssal Steed. Since we're going to do all three variants, the difference between the three variants is the rider and the head and the armor part around the Abyssal Steed. Let's talk a little bit how we're going to paint the Abyssal Steed. As you can see, it's got the ghosts on there that we've seen on Nagash. We're going to use the blue glow on the skulls on the inside of the Abyssal Steed, and we're going to use that to give us the lighting for the entire piece. We're going to make it much darker than we've done some of the other models. Why we're going to do that is because it will make the glow pop even more, as we've covered in some of the previous videos. If you've not seen those, I would strongly urge you to go back and have another look. The rider then, in this case, Mannfred. What we're going to do, how we're going to make him stand out. The cape is the identifying element that I'm drawn to initially here, but it's a little bit too bright for my liking. And the actual overall color scheme is one that I do actually quite like. So this golden armor with a little bit of black on there, the red cape going into the banshee-like ghosts. The skin we will do in the same way that we've done all of his other vampires. So we're going to go with that cold blue tint, going to the reds and purples at the end of the arm and a little bit around the mouth. I'm not overly sold on this Mannfred sculpt. It is looking pretty old now and pretty derpy. It's just not as cool as it could be, but we'll see what we can do, and hopefully we'll get something done fast that will look the part. I really like the Neferata model. I still think she holds up. Even today, she looks very, very cool, and I do like how GW have put her paint scheme together. We're going to simplify it a little bit just so that it fits in with the aesthetic that we've already got. I do have another model in my army that's painted very similar to how I'm going to paint Neferata, and that's Sakar. What we're going to do is concentrate on bringing those reds and purples that we've already established. Obviously, that's going to be brought in via her flowing skirt. Her armor, we're going to keep the gold color. I'm going to make it a little bit warmer, I think, than Games Workshop have gone for here. Again, as we did with Mannfred, we're going to keep the skin that nice blue color with red and purple to the extremities. Black Abyssal Steed definitely has the best head, in my opinion. I don't suppose it really matters which one you want to use on which variant. It doesn't really play a part, but it is very, very cool in my opinion. How are we going to paint Ark in the black then? I'm going to, again, stick quite close to what Games Workshop have done and just do a variation on it. The major difference here is going to be his face. I'm going to have that glowing blue, basically a mini version of Nagash. The cape I quite like as well. This is a really cool idea that Games Workshop have done, and I don't know if I'll be able to pull something similar off, but what I'm thinking of doing is edge highlighting the cape with a metallic silver, perhaps a chrome or aluminium, and then glazing over the top of it with the blue color that we've got to glow. So it looks like the cape is almost ethereal and glowing. Not sure I'll be able to pull that off, but we'll see. Well, what do you think? We did it. Nagash, Mannfred, Neferata, and Arkin the Black. 1 kit, 3 models, and Nagash the Big Daddy himself, big skeleton bloke. Why wouldn't we want these added to his army? We've got options now, guys. The army's done. They're looking pretty sweet. What's left to do? Well, I suppose we better show them all together, aren't we? And have a chat about how we're going to use them. What lists can we build? And was it worth it? But that's for another video. Let me know what you thought down in the comments. Please subscribe if you've not already. I hope you've enjoyed this series. I've really enjoyed doing it. Thank you for the comments, the motivation. I wouldn't have got this done if it wasn't for you guys interacting with me. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next episode. Have a great one.